Let's go ahead and call the Senate to order. Sergeant at Arms will please secure the chamber doors. Members, please take your seats. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. President.
All right, on this very stormy, but not that stormy, Monday, March 16th, we are so pleased to have our senator from the capital city who has agreed to fill in and give us our invocation this evening. Please rise for said invocation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. Gracious and holy God, we thank you tonight for life, for health, for strength, and for another opportunity to do work that matters. In this moment, we ask for your covering for every member of this body, over their families, their loved ones, and the homes they will return to when this work is done. As storms move over our region, we lift up families across the state of Maryland, asking for safety, protection, and peace for every community and every household. Watch over those traveling, strengthen those responding to emergencies, and keep our neighbors safe, sheltered, and in your care. We thank you for bringing us safely to this chamber, for allowing us to stand in spaces shaped by history, anchored in responsibility, and filled with the hopes of people we represent. Grant us now wisdom for this hour. Calm our minds. Put bravery in our hearts and discipline in our spirits. Help us speak with care, listen with humility, and govern with integrity. In this season of Women's History Month, we give honor for the legacy of women, those seen and unseen, those celebrated and those overlooked, for the women who opened doors when none were open for them, for women who turned pain into purpose, struggle into strength, and faith into action. Let their strength be remembered in this room. Let their resilience be spoken of in this chamber. As we take up the work before us, keep us mindful that leadership is not about a title, but about responsibility to care for others. Let us walk in wisdom, act in justice, and lead in a way that honors those we serve. We pray this prayer in the matchless and mighty name of God. Amen.
All right, recognizing the chair of the Judicial Proceedings Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask that the remarks from the senator from the capital city be journalized.
Absolutely. Without objection, we will journalize the senator's wonderful invocation this evening. All right. Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 40 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland is again back in session. Senators, thank you all for making it, and we were very fortunate the storm did not play out. I want to thank all of our first responders who are ready. I know there were some flooding, but it looks like most of what was forecasted we were fortunate to be able to avoid, which is wonderful. And so we are in a good spot tonight. We have a little bit of work to do this evening. This week is going to be busy. It's going to be very, very, very busy. So just keep that in mind. We're going to have lots of double sessions. We're going to be pushing hard. One of the reasons we wanted to be here tonight is we're trying to avoid a Saturday session, but please know we've got to block it out as a possibility. So just keep it as we hope we don't have to, but it's a light hold. All right. Let's see. Do we have any introductions? No. All right. Well, all right. We will so we consider the reading of the journal from the prior legislative day. Let's go ahead and start with, we have a message from the House. Clerk, read the bills.
House Bill 297, Chair, Ways and Means Committee, Adult Education, High School, Diploma Pathways, Diploma Works, Pathway, Education, Energy, and the Environment.
Majority Leader moves so we consider a reading of the bills. They will be referred to their appropriate standing committees. Let's go to our layover calendar, number 15. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 334, Senator Love, Criminal Law, Firearms, Crimes, Machine Gun Convertible Pistols. Question is on the adoption of the 3 committee amendments and the favorable report.
All right, question is on the 3 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the 3 amendments, recognize the minority whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to be very honest with you, we've been trying to get amendments for this, and I think it's not actually me, but another member. Could we special order this for tomorrow?
All right, let's hear from the committee. Senators move to special order. Let's hear from the committee.
Mr. President, can we special order it to the end of the calendar today?
You could, but there's nobody here to do the amendments, so that's been our problem today. Mr. President, if I could just convey that we are not doing this to, I mean, we'd dispense with it tomorrow if we can.
Let's do this. Why don't we special order till the end of, after the budget, and see if maybe we can have some conversation, see if that works.
Okay,
See where
thank you
things
very
stand.
much.
Any objections? Without objection, we'll special order to after we take up the budget today. All right, let's go to the Committee on Budget and Tax. This is report number 8. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 85, Chair, Budget and Taxation Committee, Department of Information Technology Investment Fund uses. Favorable, 1 amendment.
All right, this is do it. Recognizing the majority leader as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 85 is a departmental bill that authorizes revenues that accrue from resource sharing agreements to be used at the Secretary of Information Technology's discretion to support state-owned communication sites, communications facilities, and telecommunications equipment used in connection with resource sharing agreements, including program management for these activities. There is 1 amendment. The amendment requires the Secretary to submit a report to the General Assembly specifying how the revenues from resource sharing agreements were allocated and sunsets the bill after 5 years. I move adoption of the 1 committee amendment and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 1 committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the 1 committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 85 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 309, Senator Jennings, Sales and Use Tax, Precious Metal, Bullions, or Coins, exemption. Favorable with 1 amendment.
Recognize the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, under current law, the exemption for the sale of bullions and precious coins is only for Baltimore City at the convention center, and that is for sales exceeding $1,000. What this bill does is it makes it statewide, so anywhere within the state. So it's a statewide bill, and the bill also alters the definition of what a precious metal bullion coins are for purpose of this exemption. So with that, there was 1 amendment that had sponsors in the committee, so I move favorable on the amended bill, Mr. President.
All right, floor leader moves to the adoption of the 1 committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any? Yes, recognize the senator from the 37th.
Yeah, Mr. President, this is another situation where we wanted to prepare an amendment today. It is now the appropriate time to talk about maybe trying to special order it to offer an amendment tomorrow. It's just to add co-sponsors.
Absolutely,
You want a
Mr.
layover?
President.
Or?
No, I mean, I have no problem with special ordering because
Special order, no objection?
He and the
All right.
minority whip came to me earlier. We called down; they were
Got
closed.
it.
So, absolutely have no problem with special ordering until tomorrow. We have a whole week to go before crossover, so no problem.
All right, without any objections from the floor, without objection, the bill will be special ordered at the appropriate time tomorrow. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 520, Senator Kramer, Property Tax, Charter Counties, Application of County Tax, Limitations on Public Safety Budget. Favorable with 2 amendments.
Recognize the senator from College Park as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill allows councils in charter counties which have tax or revenue limitations to exceed those by a simple majority vote for public safety purposes. There are 2 amendments. 1 is technical and 1 exempts Prince George's County. I move the amendments and the favorable report.
All right, floor leader moves to the adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objections, the two committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 520 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 558, Senator Bailey, Chesapeake Bay Enhancement Program, established, favorable with two amendments.
Recognizing the bill sponsors, the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 558, as amended, establishes a Chesapeake Bay Enhancement Program in the Department of Natural Resources. This provides funding for oyster propagation and replenishment projects that mitigate the effects of the state's oyster population of transportation projects that maintain the dredging for the Port of Baltimore. This starts in 2028, and for each year thereafter, the governor must include the annual budget of appropriation of $2.25 million to the program from the Transportation Trust Fund. There were two committee amendments. One adds sponsors and makes technical changes, and the second increased by $250,000 the funds the governor must allocate to the program, and it requires that DNR to administer the funds, and the funds must be used to support oyster propagation and replenishment of the program. It also requires that at least $1.5 million be used for oyster propagation and replenishment programs. I move the adoption of the two amendments and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the two committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 558 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 641, Senator Quarterman, State Procurement, Exceptions, Historic Preservation Services, favorable with one amendment.
Recognizing the bill sponsors, the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, Senate Bill 641 exempts a variety of departments when negotiating or entering into agreements or partnership with nonprofit entities for projects related to historic preservation, archaeology, or conservation service opportunities. There's one amendment. It provides an exemption under the bill if the project would be subject to prevailing wage. I move the adoption of the favorable report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the one committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 641 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 647, Senator Bailey, Law Enforcement Officers, Pension System and State Police Retirement System, Line of Duty, Catastrophic Injury Disability, favorable with one amendment.
Recognizing Senator from Frederick City is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill, as amended, creates a catastrophic disability benefit tier for members of the State Police Retirement System and Law Enforcement Officers Pension System, which I will refer to as LEOPS. Under the new benefit tier, a member of the State Police Retirement System, or LEOPS, who is totally and permanently unable to engage in any substantial gainful activity because of a medically determinable physical impairment that's the natural and direct result of an accident that occurred in the actual performance of duty at a definite time and place without negligence by the member, is entitled to a catastrophic disability benefit. There is one amendment which makes a conforming change and clarifies the prospective application of the Act. I move for adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the one committee amendment is adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 647 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 654, Senator Augustine, State Police Retirement System, Mandatory Retirement Age, Alteration, favorable with one amendment.
Recognizing the chair of the Pension Subcommittee is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill, as amended, increases the mandatory retirement age for members of the state police retirement system from age 60 to 62 and makes corresponding changes to eligibility requirements for the Deferred Retirement Option Program. The bill also allows members of the state police retirement system that begin participation in DROP, which is Deferred Retirement Option Program, before June 1st, 2026, and continues participation on or after that date to extend their participation in DROP until reaching age 62 or completing 7 years in DROP, whichever occurs first. There is one amendment, and it clarifies the deadline for current DROP participant to request an extension under the bill. I move for adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the one committee amendment is adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 654 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 668, Senator Harris, Children's Cabinet Fund renaming and funding for grants to local management boards, favorable with two amendments.
Local management. Recognize the senator from the 45th as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 668, as amended, requests the governor to include in the annual budget bill an appropriation to the Children Cabinet's Interagency Fund of fiscal 2028, $1 million, fiscal 2029, $500,000, 2030, $500,000, and for fiscal 2031, $500,000. The mandated funds must be used for grants eligible to local management boards and are supplemental to funding that otherwise would be expended for such grants. There's one amendment. Amendment number 1 adds co-sponsors, Mr. President. Amendment number 2 alters the required funding. Move adoption of the committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the two committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 668 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 756, Senator McCray, Baltimore City Economic Development Project in Downtown Rise District, payment in lieu of taxes, favorable with two amendments.
Recognize the senator from Baltimore City as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 756 is a local bill that authorizes Baltimore City to exempt or partially exempt an economic development project located in Downtown Rise District from the city's real property tax. To qualify for the tax exemption, the owner of the project must conduct an economic analysis of the project and must enter into a payment in lieu of taxes agreement with the Baltimore City Board of Estimates. The bill also requires the City of Baltimore to report to the President of the Baltimore City Council and the General Assembly a description of the economic development. There are two amendments, Mr. President. The first is technical. The second amendment turns the bill into an emergency bill and sets the bill to sunset in 10 years. Move adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report, Mr. President.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the two committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 756 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 818, Senator Hayes, State Center Development Contract Plan Requirements and Advisory Group, favorable with one amendment.
Recognize the senator from District 6 as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 818 requires the state or its reporting agency to convene a State Center Advisory Group. As amendment, the purpose of the advisory group is to provide community input on the development of State Center, inform the identification of potential community benefits associated with the project in the immediate surrounding neighborhoods that border the State Center, and facilitate transparency and information sharing between the developer and the state or its reporting agency and the community surrounding the State Center. The bill specifies membership of the advisory group and establishes requirements that any development contract or plan for the State Center must meet. There is one amendment. The amendment alters the purpose of the advisory group as previously described, alters the membership of the advisory group, and clarifies that any development contract or plan for development of the State Center must follow applicable federal law and any requirements tied to public funding sources. I move favorable to the committee amendments and favorable to the committee report, Mr. President.
All right. Floor leader moves to the adoption of the one committee amendment, the favorable committee report. Recognize Chair of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can we special order this appropriate time tomorrow?
All right. Senator moves to special order the bill. Any objections? Without objection, the bill will be special ordered to the appropriate time tomorrow. All right. That does it for that report. Let's go now. We have report number 9. And in order to do so, we're going to ask the chair of the committee to please join us at the front. Before he does, actually, as he's walking up there and preparing and mentally preparing for his budget presentation, would like to recognize and welcome Frank McMillan, who's joining us here today. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And we also have Madeline Jones and Liam Luckman, who are, Madeline is daughter of our incredible reading clerk. And so if we could give them warm Senate welcomes. All right, with that, Mr. Chair, if you could please be recognized for the report on the budget.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Senator. Mr. President, the Budget and Taxation Committee has completed its review of the state operating budget for fiscal 2027. Today we report our version of Senate Bill 282, the Budget Bill, and Senate Bill 284, the Budget Reconciliation and Financing Act, the BRFA. Mr. President, I will discuss the actions of the Budget and Tax Committee took on the budget this year. After that, I will ask that both the budget and the BRFA be laid over until the appropriate time tomorrow, Tuesday, March 17th, for second reading debate. Before I describe the budget, I'd like to first thank all the members of the committee, our amazing committee staff, and the budget staff at DLS. Our work could not be completed without their efforts. I would also like to thank the governor and his team and our colleagues in the House for their partnership and collaboration as we completed this work. And just personally, Mr. President, I think first off, the governor gave us a pretty good darn budget that we had to work from. And so was pleased from the beginning, and then working with the House and the governor on a number of really difficult issues, including the DDA and energy issues. We worked through extensively on a number of things, and as you may note in the paperwork also, you'll see shared priorities which are actually identified between the House and Senate even. So it was a really positive year from my perspective in working with folks. As approved by the committee, the budget leaves a cash surplus of $250 million and $2.2 billion in the rainy day fund. It reduces general fund spending below the current year and limits overall budget growth to less than 1%. And it includes no tax or fee increases. It funds legislative priorities, including many priorities identified in collaboration with our colleagues in the House, as I mentioned. $2 million for the consortium on coordinated community supports, bringing total funding for behavioral health services in schools to $100 million. $20 million to reduce the wait list for the Child Care Scholarship Program, and reduces it by increasing 1,500 children who will now be able to participate where they weren't before. It minimizes the impact of cost containment on local governments by restoring 1/3 of reductions, most notably by fully funding the disparity grants. $8 million for increases to nursing homes, $23 million in general funds to reduce planned cost containment in the Developmental Disabilities Administration to $126 million. This was an especially challenging year as we considered cost containment measures and met with advocates, community members, and the administration many times to find the best possible balance between sustainable funding and the needs of this vulnerable population. The budget also maintains our commitment to key programs and initiatives by providing over $10 billion in state support for public schools, continuing core efforts under the Blueprint for Maryland's Future, supporting our state employees by providing 1.5 cost of living adjustments for most employees, funding the Medicaid program at over $16 billion to provide health care coverage to 1.5 million Marylanders. This includes the expansion of Medicaid coverage for biomarker testing and testing to provide more equitable health care access. As the federal government continues to cut Medicaid, SNAP, and other programs that support our most vulnerable communities, this budget includes over $10 million for IT improvement, staffing, outreach efforts to mitigate the impacts on Marylanders who rely on these programs. This budget plan provides $100 million in target assistance to lower energy bills for Maryland families in fiscal 2027 and includes $280 million specifically for home energy programs that assist low-income households with their energy bills. Finally, this budget makes important investments to grow our state's economy and strengthen our long-term fiscal outlook by providing $125 million to the private sector in growing fields and industries. This will add more jobs and improve Maryland's competitiveness in emerging technologies and opportunities. Mr. President, let me turn to the materials distributed to each member's desk. First, the materials relating to the budget bill. First, the report of the Budget and Taxation Committee explains each amendment to the budget. Amendments are numbered in this report and in the committee reprint of the bill. The report includes adjustments to funding, budget bill language, and committee narrative listed by state agency. Keep in mind that the committee narrative items are not amendments to the budget bill and are not subject to floor action. However, if you have concerns with any narrative items, please bring them to the committee's attention. Second, the committee report on the budget bill reflects the committee's amendments to the budget. Amendments in the budget are numbered and correspond to the explanations in the committee report. Keep in mind that amendments to the budget are to be drawn to the committee reprint. Amendments must be provided to the committee in advance of being offered, and proposed additions to the budget must be included as identified offsetting reduction. Staff in the amendment office are available to assist you. Tomorrow. Evidently. The analysis of Maryland's executive budget prepared by the Department of Legislative Services is available to you on your laptops through the floor system and to the public on the General Assembly website. The analysis describes the significant budgetary changes in all agencies and provide an overview of the budget as submitted. We have also provided a document summarizing committee actions on the budget bill. It illustrates the budget as submitted, describes the actions that we took with respect to the budget, and our revenue assumptions, which includes supplemental material with exhibits and charts related to the budget bill and the BRFA. Mr. President, I move that Senate Bill 282 and the committee amendments lie over under the rules until the appropriate time tomorrow, Tuesday, March 17th.
All right, the chair is moved for the adoption of the 199 committee amendments in the favorable report and has moved to lay over the bill and the amendments to the appropriate time tomorrow. The motion is in order, and so we will do just that. Senators, remember, this is, please, the amendments. Obviously, we are navigating what was a potential storm, but we're going to try and make sure that we have everything. The amendments office is prepared and ready. They know that if there are amendments to be drawn, that they are to be expedited for tomorrow. With that, we'll move
Yes,
to the BRFA.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd like to discuss the BRFA. Senate Bill 284 implements actions needed to balance the budget to provide the resources needed to fund our priorities for the state. The supplementary materials describe the provisions of the bill and indicate where the committee has taken action to amend the bill as introduced. With respect to Senate Bill 284, amendments will also be drawn to the committee reprint, and staff in the amendment office will be able to assist you. Mr. President, I move the Senate Bill 284 and the committee amendments lie over under the rules until the appropriate time tomorrow, Tuesday, March 17th.
All right, the chair moves that we moves for the adoption of the 34 committee amendments and the favorable committee report on Senate Bill 284, and has moved to lay over the bill and the amendments under the rule, which is in order, and we will do just that. Just a slight clarification, the amendment office has been available. They have been available. They just have not been able to print because they haven't been here to print, but they have been available. They'll be available early in the morning too. In fact, I'm certain they are listening right now. So if we want to just, they are ready to take requests, just to print them, that will be printed in the morning. All right, with that, we will go to our next order of business and take up the budget tomorrow. Let's go back to our special order for after the budget. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 334, Senator Love, Criminal Law, Firearm Crimes, Machine Gun Convertible Pistols. Question is in the adoption of the 3 committee amendments in the favorable report.
All right, question remains on the 3 committee amendments in the favorable committee report. Recognize the minority whip.
Mr. President, I would pass the special order, and here's why. It sounds like there have been people in the amendment office. I actually tried to call earlier, and I think they're probably working from home, and I know they're working. But as you just pointed out, if we had amendments this afternoon, they wouldn't have been able to be printed anyway. So I'm asking just for a special order for tomorrow. I think it's just one specific amendment that members are interested in discussing or offering. And so that's my request, considering the unusual nature of the situation. I know you can say we've had all weekend, but we're all going home, we're all working. I mean, there's a number of issues. So I just want to press the special order request.
All right, the senators moved a special order the bill to the appropriate time tomorrow. Checking with the chair, the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask that we resist the special order. As the minority whip noted, they've not only had all weekend, but this bill was posted last Wednesday, so they have had quite a bit of time to work on amendments. Plus, I suspect there will be a House bill coming over, so there will be time for amendments at that point.
All right, so the question remains on the special order. I recognize the senator from District 7 on the special order.
I just want to press the minority whip's point. I mean, it's one day. I mean, look at what we've gone through today. The fact that you brought it up, the chairman of Budget and Tax brought up the fact of amendments. It is, yes, we have times bills come up, we have weekends, but guess what? People get here on Monday, they start calling in their amendment requests. Some of us were here earlier today. We were on the phones calling, talking to each other on other amendments. I special ordered a bill earlier because I had 2 gentlemen that came to me earlier today asking to be co-sponsors. When I came on the floor here at about 7:30, I told them, I said, call down and just get the amendment done real quick. We can take it tonight. We couldn't get it done. It's just, come on. I mean, seriously. It is, the House isn't here tonight. You've mentioned that we can't print it out. I mean, what is the big deal of just special ordering one day? What are you afraid of to give the courtesy? This is the Senate of Maryland, as he used to say. I just don't see what the issue is and why the embarrassment of trying to ram this through for one day, dealing what we dealt with today. Businesses were shut down. We sent people home. You can't print it. I mean, the fact that you've admitted it several times that the amendment shop can't get this done, I don't see what the issue is.
Thank you, Senator. All right, question remains on the special order. All in favor of the special order, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. No. Noes have it. Recognize the senator from the Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I wonder if the floor could just yield for a question then so we could discuss this issue.
Senator may proceed.
So the impetus for this bill has been wanting to identify a particular type of firearm that it seems to be as susceptible to being converted in a way that is inappropriate. Is that fair to say?
I wouldn't put it that way. I would say that law enforcement is finding in increasing numbers not only switches, but do-it-yourself machine guns, convertible pistols. And these guns are excessively dangerous, and so we need to regulate the design.
So we're regulating, so the bill is seeking to regulate the design of firearms.
I may have misspoken. What the bill is addressing is a particular design, a cruciform trigger bar. So it has to be a semi-automatic pistol with a cruciform trigger bar that can be readily converted into a machine gun using common household tools.
So it's already illegal, correct, to do this? You're not allowed to convert a pistol that fires one shot at a time into an automatic pistol, correct? It's already illegal.
That's correct.
Yes. So this bill makes it more illegal.
Not exactly. What I said, as I said before, law enforcement is finding more and more of these guns. So the fact that the switch is illegal and to convert the gun is illegal is not getting at the root of the problem. The root of the problem is that this particular design is so easily convertible. And that's why it's out there, and that's why we need to address it.
I'm curious what we're really trying to get at is illegal behavior, correct? That's what we're trying to do. People who are illegally.
No, we're trying to make our communities safe from machine guns.
Right, which is illegal to do. It's illegal to convert anything into a machine gun. And so my question is, in the bill, did the committee adjust the penalties to go after the people who've been doing this?
We kept the penalties exactly as they are for that statute.
Okay, because as I read it, its existing language, it says really the offense in the bill is only a misdemeanor. And it can be up to 3 years in prison, but nobody gets up to 3 years for a misdemeanor, certainly not the first time. There's some other ways that it can become a felony, but I think it's only if, as I read here, if you use it if you actually use it in the commission of a crime, of course it can be a felony. Why would we not start with the idea that people who are doing this should be, frankly, locked up for a lot longer? Because I agree it's wrong for this to be taking place. People shouldn't be breaking the law this way. Why do we do a bill that tries to target people in a particular gun manufacturer for people who are breaking the law?
So again, we're not targeting a particular gun manufacturer. We're targeting a specific design that can be easily converted into a machine gun.
How many manufacturers use that specific design?
Well, I know of at least 3, and in your floor system, there's committee testimony that lists quite a few.
Okay. Are they going to all, do we think that this bill will make them change their design? It doesn't matter, right? Because you're just outlawing it being sold in Maryland, correct? If they have this cruciform trigger, is that just, does the bill outlaw that being sold in Maryland?
If it's a semi-automatic pistol with a cruciform trigger bar that can be easily converted into a machine gun using common household tools, that's what we're going after, yes.
Does the bill do anything about the common household tools? It's already illegal to use a common household tool to try to mess with a firearm, so it doesn't touch that side of it. It's just the bill is aimed at the cruciform trigger.
It all works together, because part of what makes it so readily convertible is that you can, with no particular expertise, no special tools, no special time, no amount of money, turn this particular designed gun into a machine gun.
So yeah, let me just follow up on that with this point, and this is a concern. You're essentially maybe saying a particular company is wrong, but you're going after a whole particular brand of firearms because people are breaking the law. It's sort of like when there were a rash of car thefts, and certain elected officials blamed the car manufacturers. And the car manufacturers it would be great if they made their cars less easy to get into, and a lot of times they make those adjustments. And I would imagine that's going to happen in this particular industry because they don't need the publicity of having people messing with their firearms. But I think it's targeting a particular brand, and it's a very commonly used brand. And so, I guess my final question would just be, would the committee entertain something in the future to try to be sure that we get at the heart of the actual legal activity? Because I want people who are doing this to get real hard jail time, because I'm a law-abiding person who cares about the Second Amendment. And what happens in this General Assembly is the constant drip, drip, drip of more rules and regulations to law-abiding citizens when it's the criminals that are doing the criminal activity. So could the committee entertain that, perhaps in a future amendment debate?
Senator, if you would like to bring that bill or that amendment at a future time, the committee will certainly consider it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, Mr. President, speaking on the amended report.
On the report, Senator, may proceed.
Let me be very clear. Number one, the use of semi-automatic pistol it's always so interesting how semi-automatic as a term was created. It's a way of making guns sound scarier. It's not really always an accurate, and I understand it's commonly used. I'm not pointing that out just on the floor leader. It's just a commonly used thing. But this is a great example of, we have something that's already illegal, something else that's illegal, and if you do the two together, it's also illegal. But now we're trying to really get at the possession of a firearm that is totally illegal firearm because it has something that somebody can do something to illegally. And I just think it's an unwise step for the General Assembly to take. Would have liked to perhaps have some opportunity to amend it to at least go after criminal activity more. I appreciate the responses. So, Mr. President, I think I'll find myself not supporting this bill when we get to third reader. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I recognize the senator from the 37th on the amendments.
I just want to follow up with a quick question about the bill.
Senator may proceed.
So, currently, doesn't state police maintain a list of firearms that are allowed and not and prohibited?
Yes.
And so, with this bill, if it goes into effect, I guess the state police would then determine any firearm with this trigger mechanism is going to go on that list. Is that how it works?
So if in the bill it says that MSP shall put a list together of the firearms that would qualify, semi-automatic pistols with a cruciform trigger bar that can be easily converted using common household tools.
And the purpose is that we're going to ban them from Maryland so they won't be anywhere in Maryland, right?
That would be the hope, but
so
that would be the hope.
And then that's why I wanted to ask these questions, because I was talking with a sheriff's deputy over the weekend at one of my several volunteer fire company dinners. Love them. They're fantastic. But I learned that if you're a law enforcement officer, you can still buy these firearms. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I just wanted to make sure that would have been one of the amendments if they're, but anyway, I just wanted to make sure that I understood that correctly. So that even though this bill would give the impression that these guns are forever banned from the state of Maryland, the reality is that certain individuals would still be able to purchase them.
Law enforcement will be able to purchase them, yes.
Yeah. And then do you know how you define who would be allowed who would be determined to be, how would you define who is eligible or allowed to purchase them?
The bill lays that out.
Okay. All right, I'll take a look. Thank you.
All right. Recognize the senator from District 6 on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say one thing, but I do have one question.
Senator may proceed.
Mr. President. Just looking at the different models that they're pinpointing here that has what was stated about the trigger bar design, and seeing how they're trying to, well, the committee and whoever has this bill, the Glock style. My question is this, if I could. Has any questions been talked about the constitutionality of this bill itself?
We've had conversations about the constitutionality, yes.
And what's the statement? What was the outcome of the statement that was said about that?
This bill is constitutional.
It is?
It is.
Okay. I just want to make sure that, I mean, I've heard otherwise, but, you know, I appreciate that. So I think that also will be looked into, because I think my biggest concern is this. We've had some bills that we've tried to push through, and in time, it would go to the courts, and when it did, it was proven that it's not constitutional. And I believe this is just another bill that we're going to fight about or have the conversation, which is civil, and I'm happy about that. But I think we're having a problem with that, and I think it will go to courts, and I think we might see otherwise, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. All right, recognized Senator from the 14th District.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Will the floor leader yield for a question?
Yes.
Senator may proceed.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get a sense of this bill. So right now you've got a handgun, and is it true that they're manipulating the handgun to basically make this fire bullets at what? How many bullets?
About 1,200 per minute.
How many?
They can fire up to 1,200 per minute.
Okay, and what would they be using this for?
Nothing good.
Nothing good. Okay. So they're taking a pistol, manipulating it to basically be what, a machine gun?
A machine gun, yes.
Okay, and what's the debate? I'm just confused about. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Sure.
All right, question remains on the 3 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, recognized Senator from District 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for the floor leader.
Floor leader yields. Senator may proceed.
The senator was asking about this being constitutional, and you said that it is constitutional.
Yes, sir.
Is there an AG letter that says that?
Well, I've got...
Because I don't remember that in the committee.
Sure. I've got several Supreme Court cases that I can go through with you about it.
So did we actually ask the Maryland Attorney General for their opinion?
Any member can request a confidential opinion if they would like.
Did any member from the Judicial Proceedings Committee or the sponsor of this bill ask for the Maryland General Assembly's the Attorney General for an opinion of something of this magnitude? Nobody in this General Assembly asked for that?
Senator, I did. Yes.
Did you get a response?
I did.
Can we get a copy? I don't remember that in the bill
I
file.
had asked for a confidential letter. Yes, that's why it wasn't circulated.
Then why would it be a confidential letter that would have to do with a bill that is upon this floor? That sounds to me that that should be forwarded to the committee for their deliberation. Did that confidential letter say that it was clearly unconstitutional?
It did not.
What did it say, please?
It said that this bill was not clearly unconstitutional and that it was clearly defensible under the Second Amendment and
So
under
that's-
Supreme Court precedent.
But that's not what you had responded to the other senator.
Sure. And what I said was my review, having gone through, they can't say because other courts have not reviewed this. So I've gone through the thank you, I lost the word, the case history. And that's what I was saying, that I believe it's fully constitutional.
Mr. President, in lieu of this further light, I tend to believe that we should reconsider holding this bill over at least a day under the rule, as we can get some clarification. I tend to believe that this is something that the committee should have been made aware of. And if we're going to be passing policy such as this and just taking it as this is my interpretation of a opinion that it's not, if it is, then it's not. I'm not exactly sure that this is the proper way, and I tend to believe that every member in this body should be able to see that letter, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. All right. Question remains on the 3 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, recognize the senator from District 4.
I just want to point out, I think the gentleman asked for consideration to have it special order till tomorrow during, I don't know if you heard him or not.
Senator, we've taken one vote to special order.
He was bringing up a different foundation of his request because there was a Attorney General's confidential letter that wasn't shared with the body in time so that everybody could have that. That's what his request was. I just don't know that you had heard his request for a special order under that circumstance.
Oh, so under the rule 62, is that correct? Rule 62. That is for when a bill is prepared under third reader. It's still on second reader subject to amendments, and so it's after interpretation of floor rules. Or excuse me, floor amendments.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Question remains on the third, three amendments and the third. Yes, recognize the minority. Are there any senators who have not yet spoken who wish to speak? If not, recognize the minority whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. My good friend from District 14 wanted to clarify what we're talking about, and I appreciate his sincerity and the way that I know how much everybody here cares about our community. And I know that people have been harmed with firearms, and it's a serious thing. It's why so many of us have pushed for years to try to get real, lasting penalties for those who do this. And I think the question about 1,200 rounds per minute, so I've heard this a good bit, and I actually just looked it up online here, find a video. Number one, not defending the practice because it's not appropriate and it's highly illegal already is the point. So the request about what are we doing here, it's 1,200 rounds a minute, why would we not be against that? It's already illegal. But it's also, you're not firing precision. It's something that if you put one of these on your gun, you're just wildly firing this. It's incredibly unsafe and incredibly stupid. If somebody's doing it as a gag, it's terrible. If they're using it to commit a criminal act, it's terrible. It's a criminal act even if you're just shooting at a target out in the middle of nowhere. But when we make law in a state, we really have to think about the message that we're sending about private enterprise, about also the practicality of the law. And to pass a law that renders a firearm that's sold extensively in a state like ours and all over this place, it's commonly used in law enforcement, commonly used by handgun owners, lawful handgun owners to have, particularly there's one particular brand that it's very common that has this trigger form, cruciform trigger, but there's others, as has been laid out. It's a mistake to just have the heavy hand of government say we're just going to make that particular gun illegal to be sold in the state because there are some people illegally manipulating it. We wouldn't do this for anything else that we do either. We wouldn't ban a particular type of car because somebody can manipulate it in a certain way. You can manipulate cars to be very dangerous and harm people. And there's other ways you can manipulate firearms that are not this cruciform trigger. Now I know that a lot of the police, that's fantastic. I know that a lot of the, sorry, yeah, I'm trying to find it. I know that a lot of the police folks, law enforcement, have said in places that they support this. And I think it's because they're just concerned as well. But this bill is not going to give law enforcement any additional tools to put people away that are doing this. In fact, all it probably will do in Maryland is create a black market that then will entrap people who would like to purchase some of these types of firearms. And they're going to end up interacting with the criminal justice system in a way that this body has worked for many years to try to avoid there being incidental interactions with the criminal justice system. You're creating more people who will be charged with criminal offenses simply because they possess a firearm with a cruciform trigger after the date that this ends. Meanwhile, we've left people who are actually committing the crime now, the criminal act now, unscathed by our action in this bill. There's an incongruity there that I think is troubling. And, you know, I don't think I was planning to lay this out in such great detail. Had we been able to perhaps, you know, do something tomorrow with an amendment and just have the discussion quickly. But since we're here and we have some time, I think it's important that we understand what we're doing. We are, I mean this very sincerely, we're laying out a bizarre situation where we're passing, this bill will pass, and the bill is going to create criminals of people and frankly businesses and a company that are otherwise law-abiding if they were to sell and or buy this in the state after the deadline. But the bill is silent on any additional criminal. If this is such a scourge that it's happening all the time, and I have heard about, they've found some of these guns and these switches, and I'm not making light of that, it's bad. But that's why those people need, the people they find that are trafficking in that are using those, those folks need the penalties. Why is the bill not, hey, if you're caught with this, maybe first offense we keep it the way it is, but second offense, you're going up the river for a long time. Why are we not doing that? So it's perpetuating the problem we've had with this, with Annapolis, with this General Assembly over the years, and it's not to be a pejorative about any one individual in here, but it's been a problem where we have identified with the criminal over the victims and over law enforcement, and then, you know, we're punishing the people who are law-abiding by creating new ways to trip them up, but we're silent on the people who are actually doing the bad activity. It's bizarre, but it's a problem we've had with this General Assembly for a long time, and I think it needs to change. And there are some things that this Senate does well together. We convene, we talk, we communicate. There's been some good compromise this session on some issues. There's been some stuff maybe not been so much compromise on that's been bad, but there's been some good compromise. And I feel like this would have been a great opportunity to say, let's go after the bad guys for a change. Let's go after the bad guys for a change. So, Mr. President, I just felt that it was important to share that perspective with the body. And thanks for listening.
Thank you, Senator. All right, question remains on the third, three committee amendments in the favorable committee report, recognizing the senator from the 29th district.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the floor leader yield?
Senator, may proceed.
So a few minutes ago, you were speaking of the capacity of the handgun. And you made a comment to say that the handgun would fire 1,200 rounds a minute.
Yes, that's from the ATF.
How does that work?
What do you mean, how does that work? It becomes a machine gun.
So what I'm going to ask you is, I looked at all the guns that were listed in some of the testimony, and I don't, they operate by a magazine.
So I'm not quite sure what the question is. So
the question is pretty clear. How does it work? How can you make a handgun shoot 1,200 rounds a minute?
Sure. So if it's the mechanical rapid fire, if you take off the back of the gun,
That's not the
and
question.
you put the switch in.
Excuse me, Senator, just to be clear, Senator, questions asked, question answered. We don't go back and forth. So, Senator's asked a question, Senator's responding, Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. You put in the switch, and it turns it into a machine gun. And according to the ATF, that converted pistol can fire up to 1,200 rounds a minute.
So did you mean to say that the rate of fire could have been 1,200 rounds a minute? But what you said was the gun would fire 1,200 rounds a minute through one of these handguns. My question is, how does that work? Because that is not possible. I'm asking, how physically does that work? How can you, there is not a belt-fed handgun, right? That is not, one of these guns does not work. The rate of fire could be 1,200 rounds in a minute. But the clip, we have a law in Maryland that says the magazine, right? What is the law on magazines in Maryland? How many rounds are allowed to be in a magazine?
Senator, you were correct. It is the mechanical rate of fire.
That's correct. I just wanted to point out the fact that when we talk about a handgun that has been manipulated, it is not possible to fire that gun 1,200 rounds and put 1,200 rounds out into the air in a minute. That is just not going to happen. It's called the rate of fire. So moving on to another question, what is the amount of rounds that can go, that is legal in Maryland in a magazine?
$10 to purchase.
10. So
It's legal to buy magazine sizes up to 10.
okay. So, so we've established that in Maryland, whether you have this gun or not, you can fire 10 rounds in a minute with one pull of the trigger if it's been manipulated. My question is, if the gun was in the semi-automatic mode, would it be possible to fire all 10 rounds of those in a minute?
With a switch, my understanding is you can do it in less than 1 second. That's what the experts are telling us.
That was not the question.
My apologies.
The question was, can you shoot in the semi-automatic mode the 10 rounds that are in the clip in a minute?
That would be up to the skill of the shooter.
Okay. And it's in a minute. It's very easy to be able to fire those 10 rounds, right, through a semi-automatic. It just takes a fraction of seconds to be able to shoot the 10 rounds in a legal firearm with a legal magazine. So I'm just trying to get all this straight. If we manipulate the gun, it's illegal.
Correct.
Already, under the law we have today.
Correct.
If we manipulate a magazine to have over 10 rounds, that's illegal.
Correct.
Okay. So, because we have someone that is manipulating the firearm and manipulating potentially the magazine, how does the bill increase the penalties for the person that is doing this?
We'll be right with you.
Okay.
$3 years is the penalty.
That's a new penalty that's just associated with this crime?
Correct.
So what's the penalty for manipulating a gun into a machine gun?
$10 years, and that's existing law.
So we made a lesser penalty for just this type of gun?
It's for the sale or manufacture or transfer of this gun.
I'm talking about the person that's pulling the trigger with this gun.
Correct. That's 10 years.
It's 10 years
Correct.
And that was always the case.
Yes.
So as far as the person that is actually utilizing the gun in a crime, is the penalty raised under this different than if they had a machine gun?
The penalty is not raised. That's existing law.
So the penalty is not raised. We're not raising the penalty for somebody that's using this manipulated gun in a crime.
If they use it in a crime, it can go up to 20. That is also existing law.
That's correct. So I'm just trying to put this together to figure out what we're doing here. If we're not raising the penalty, I mean, so when we talk to law enforcement and you talk to them about these firearms that were there, were these, did they have a list to know whether the firearms that were being manipulated were legal gun owners that were actually manipulating their firearms to use these in the commission of a crime, or were these illegal guns that were being manipulated to be in a use of a crime?
So, a couple of things. One, when we spoke with law enforcement, what we were talking about was what they were seeing, what they were getting at crime scenes. And what they were telling us is they're seeing these more and more and more. And then additionally to that, what we understand is that a lot of these are initially legally bought. And then either it was a straw purchase or it was stolen from the legal owner. And so we're finding more and more of these out on the street.
So, just following up on that, when we're talking about straw purchases that we already address in the law, and we talk about guns that were stolen from people because we've tried to increase the penalty on someone that has stolen a handgun from someone and make just that mere theft of it a felony, but the issue is, what are we doing against the criminals rather than we are taking the ability, in my opinion, from somebody who has a gun like this to protect themselves in their own home? What are we, are we not taking that right away from them?
So for those that use these weapons in a crime, that is up to 20 years in prison. So we are doing a lot for that.
That's an enhancement just in this bill?
No, that's existing law.
Okay. I'm rather familiar with that. Okay. That's what I was trying to get to. What I am stressing is the fact that we've identified that the fact that these are illegal guns that people have. They're already illegal to have them. They're illegal if they manipulate the magazine, right? I think I go back to the gentleman's earlier statement saying that I don't understand this. It seems like we're only trying to make this illegal-er.
Let me try this again. Yes, switches are illegal. Yes, converted pistols are illegal. However, law enforcement is seeing them more and more and more. This is a common sense design regulation. So to help law enforcement, so there aren't as many of these guns out there. And to be clear, we're not doing anything to anyone who currently possesses these. They can possess them. They're not going to be stopped on the street for possessing them. They can continue to possess them. They can get them serviced. They can hand them down in their estate. So we're not doing anything to anyone that has one of these guns right now.
So my fear when we talk about this, and I don't know if this came up, some of the guns that I see could come with what was called a New York style trigger pull. is what it was called. And what it would do is it would increase the trigger pull on a lot of these guns so that it was so stiff that it was not, there was absolutely limited amount of accidental discharges, right? And it's one of the only manufacturers that made that gun, to my knowledge, the only one that made that gun, and it was utilized in situations for people with home protection, things like that. So they truly had to pull on that trigger, 14 to 20 pounds, depending on how it was set up, just for that style. My question is, when we talk about that manufacturer that provided that trigger for that, how are we going to address that if somebody was trying to protect their family, protect themselves in their own home? Now they're not going to be able to buy one of these guns that offered that that ability for them to protect themselves?
So I'm not sure exactly what manufacturer you're talking about, but remember, we are talking about a very specific type of gun, semi-automatic pistol with a cruciform trigger bar that can be readily converted into a machine gun using common household tools. That's what this bill is about.
So there's many handguns that can be taken apart just with your fingers, right? You don't need household tools to disassemble a handgun, right? So I'm not exactly sure what that means, household tools. What I'm trying to figure out here is the fact that we potentially, through this legislation, are taking the ability of someone to protect themselves because we're taking legal guns off the market. And through the dialogue, we have talked about the fact that the guns that you're addressing are illegal guns to start with, right? So I don't understand if we are dealing with illegal guns and the illegal the way somebody would manipulate the gun to make it more illegal, right, to start with, that now all of a sudden the person that we are going to say that can't get the gun is a law-abiding person that went through a background check and all the other requirements, and now all of a sudden we're saying, just because you yourself would like to buy this gun that might be safer for you to have to protect your family with, you can't do it because it's this manufacturer's firearm. I don't understand nor agree with that.
Senator, we're not going after a specific manufacturer. This bill is about a specific type of gun, as we've gone through many, many times, and we're not prohibiting anybody from protecting themselves. There are plenty of semi-automatic pistols that don't have the cruciform trigger bar that can be easily converted using common household tools, and that is defined in the bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. All right, questions on the two committee amendments. If there's no further discussion on the amendments, any objections? Without objection, the three committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 334 is hereby ordered, printed for third reading. All right, let's go to one last little piece of, let's just take it. We'll stop there. We'll stop there. All right, we'll leave that for unfinished business. All right, let's see. That'll do it. Anything from committees for the morning? Committees for the morning? No? All right. We sure? No? Okay. Any other joint committees, select committees, delegations, caucuses? Yes, recognizing the chair of the Majority Caucus.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The Senate Democratic Caucus will be meeting in person tomorrow at 9 a.m. in the Majority Caucus room. 9 a.m.
9 a.m. Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate Republican Caucus will be meeting at 8:30 a.m. sharp tomorrow. We have a guest, 8:30 a.m. in the Senate Republican Caucus room.
8:30 a.m. 8:30. Excellent. All right. Any further announcements? Any further announcements before we adjourn? for the good of the order. Senators, please drive home safely tonight. It looks like there is a storm cell coming, so just be mindful. It's just a thunderstorm, but just be careful. So,
Mr. President?
where does that come from? Oh, sorry. Yes, Senator from Baltimore City.
Mr. President, I just want to
Welcome back.
I just want to thank the body for all your good wishes, for all the gifts, for the texts. It felt really good. I've got a brand new knee. I'm here ready for the last quarter of the game. But again, I don't think I have ever, I've liked you all. I've felt connected. But now I really do have that sense of this being a family. And thank you for that. Thank you, Mr.
Excellent. Wonderful. Well, we missed you, and we're glad you're back. We're glad you're back and healthy. Most importantly, healthy. All right. Let's do a quorum call, please.
Mr. President?
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. We have 37 members in the chamber, and a quorum being present. The Senate of Maryland remains in session, recognizing the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate of Maryland stand adjourned until Tuesday, March 17th at 10 a.m. St. Patrick's Day tomorrow.
Without objection, so ordered. See you tomorrow.